Oh my God. Oh my God.
Every birth is remarkable.
The little baby's here, Matilda. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, you did it, baby, all by yourself.
Lucy's agreed to share this moment with ITV News. The only other people there for the arrival of little Louis were her husband and 4-year-old daughter. No midwives, no doctors. In fact, there was no involvement of any medical professionals in the final stages of her pregnancy and labour. This is an unassisted birth. Some call it a free birth.
In my living room, right here, with my daughter watching. It was just magical, absolutely magical, and I felt absolutely elated.
But it was the result of past traumatic experiences in the NHS. In fact, she felt declining NHS care was safer than accepting it.
A lack of funding, a lack of basic training, common sense and empathy.
After a miscarriage, there was one particularly horrific incident at her local hospital.
When I went to the loo, I walked in and sitting over the bowl in a cardboard container was the lady on the bed next to me's 14-week-old dead fetus lying in the toilet with no respect. It left me thinking, there is no way in hell I will be setting foot over that hospital steps unless there is a critical emergency.
The Countess of Chester Hospital NHS Foundation Trust told ITV News the dignity of patients is vital, insisting they have robust processes to ensure clinical ethics are maintained.
What would you say to those who say your decision was reckless and potentially dangerous?
I'm not reckless as a person, I'm not a maverick, I'm not a rule breaker, I'm sort of a teacher's pet in the sense that I've always done things by the book. And for somebody like that to make a decision like this, there has to be a good reason for it. And that was my total distrust in NHS and maternity services and the state of them in the UK at the moment.
NHS England told ITV News using medical and midwifery care is the safest option for women and babies, and they strongly urge everyone to use the NHS services available to them.
An unassisted birth is not just a home birth. It's when a woman intentionally gives birth without any medical professional present. There aren't any official statistics for the number in the UK, but one birth charity has told us that online inquiries have almost doubled in the last year.
I've had more free birth inquiries than I can cope with.
Samantha runs a free birth training course. More than 1,000 people have signed up in the last 2 years. In part, she thinks because of the shortage of midwives and the suspension of home birth services in some areas.
Some women are preparing to free birth just in case a midwife doesn't make it. Free birth should be an active choice and not something that happens because you're scared of hospital or scared that there's no staff.
Free birth is legal in the UK. It's right here in black and white. This is the law.
Angela's baby girl is due in November. After a traumatic first birth in hospital, she wanted an unassisted birth. It's legal to decline maternity services, but when she turned down NHS care...
I got a phone call from social services a few days later saying that I was putting my unborn baby at risk.
She'd spent 6 years trying to conceive and thousands of pounds on IVF.
As much as I hate to admit it, I was so distressed, I was so upset at the thought that kept repeating in my head over and over again of my baby being taken away, that I seriously considered getting an abortion. That's how absolutely devastated and upset I was at the thought of these people who knew nothing about what we'd been through to become pregnant, just callously take the baby away over something as minor as a scan.
Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole Council told us it's their responsibility to follow up referrals to ensure the safety and well-being of children and unborn babies. The man who helps set standards for obstetricians in the UK says having medical professionals on hand is vital.
I know that there are times when complications can occur, even when mother and baby are perfectly healthy at the start of labour. Some babies get distressed right at the end of labour and are born not breathing and will need a bit of urgent help to get them breathing at the start, which for a trained midwife is a very easy thing to do, but for a woman at home who's just given birth, who may be bleeding heavily, It's impossible to do. I would recommend have professionals there when you're giving birth at home so that if something happens, they can deal with it and you and your baby will be healthy.
What are you doing?
Louis and Lucy are both healthy, but not every pregnancy and birth is without complication.